Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here for this episode because we're going to have a chat to an amazing lady who I've met called Deb Parsonage. And Deb Parsonage owns a company called Busy Paws. And as a new puppy mum, I have been going, Deb, help me with this, help me with that. So let's start by Deb. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you very much.
And you put out amazing reels all the time. I'm learning doggy by watching your little hacks on how to look after doggies. But before we get into that, do you want to tell us a bit about you and Busy Paws and how you got to be Busy Paws and all those things? Because you do amazing things.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Well, I'm actually trained as a primary school teacher. And so that was my thing. That's all I ever wanted to be, was a primary school teacher. But I got a little bit disillusioned with the whole process and the system and whatever, and then had kids and priorities changed, and I decided to step away from teaching. And then it was just kids. Kids.
Thank you for making children in this world. I appreciate that.
You are
welcome. Me having to do it. Thank you.
Welcome. So my life revolved around kids. Always had dogs. They were always a huge part of my life. But I focused mainly on the kids growing up. And then they got to sort of high school. They started getting a little bit more independent, still needed their mum. But I got to a stage where I was like, I need to do something with my life. What is it? What's my passion? My passion was always teaching. I was always a teacher. I needed to do something different. Anyway, went through a few little trials and errors.
We do that as we reinvent ourselves.
Yeah. But then I really thought I've got to follow this passion of dogs. So went into dog training, did a few certifications and things like that. And then we actually got a dog, Rosie, who's a rescue. She was supposed to be a Dachshund. And we got her, and she just kept growing and growing and growing. And she's now the size of like a Kelpie. She looks like she's got a bit of greyhound or whippet in her. She's a decent-sized dog.
She is not a Dachshund.
She's definitely not a Dachshund. But the thing with Rosie is that she is itchy. She's a very itchy dog. Really, really struggled to get on top of the itchiness. And that's where my journey into raw food and raw feeding came in.
Right.
And like so many people, we were told this, we went through the food tolerance testing and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
She didn't seem to be allergic to anything, put it down to environmental. And the solution from the vets was to have her on a low dosage of steroids, basically for the rest of her life, on and off.
Oh, that medical model for humans.
Yes. I just went, this cannot be. I cannot possibly have her on steroids because, I mean, you know what the side effects are, especially long-term.
Long-term, nasty stuff.
Terrible. So got onto raw feeding, and she is completely raw fed, and her allergies, she still struggles, but her own body can manage it a lot better. So
what's less inflammatory and stuff too.
Oh, absolutely. She hadn't had a steroid tablet for I can't remember when last.
Great news. Okay.
Completely off them. And that's where my passion came across for the nutrition for dogs, right, and obviously the dog training. Yep. And then I started following you and went, oh my God, there's so much overlap between human health and dog health, in particular dog health. So, that's basically it in a nutshell.
All right, cool. Well, that's why I said to you, let's have a chat about it. Let's pull it apart because there's overlays, even that emotional, doggy with scratches, humans with scratches, same kind of things. Emotionally, something's under their skin. Yeah. We thought we'd talk a little bit about the human and the dog mirroring kind of thing. So what's your first thoughts around that? Let's just start the conversation.
Yeah. So for dogs, we will, and this is how I started training session.
Yeah.
I will always explain to people that dogs, like humans, we call it a stress bucket, but in humans it could be your pup or whatever. And dogs have the same emotional stress bucket. Right. And throughout the day, things are happening and playing into that bucket. And they can be good things, excitement. Yep. It can be bad things, things that they're worried about. But throughout the day, things are playing into that bucket, and that bucket is filling up. If we don't give our dogs time to empty that bucket, they will explode. And that is barking, exactly. Barking, lunging, going nuts, all sorts of things, digging, destroying things. You see people that have their beds all ripped apart and stuff like dog beds. It's stress. So it's the same as us. And everybody that I say to that, I've explained that to them, and they're like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
So we need to manage our dog's stress just like we need to manage our own stress. And, if we can see them, that stress bucket filling up, we need to give them time to rest so that they can empty that bucket so that they can handle more things going in. And like I said, it's good or bad. That doesn't matter.
So the same as us. So we have that downtime, quiet time, getting a good sleep, all those kind of things. We're crate training. From what you said, and that was really big for me to get my brain around, because I'm like, we're putting her in a cage.
Yes.
We're not, you kind of explained it's like that safe little timeout, quiet place, and she loves it. She runs in there. She'll take all of her bloody toys in there, and it's like, this is my place. We're going, okay.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, and that's what I say to people, is that it's kind of like you coming home from a really crazy busy day. You've had to make lots of decisions, and someone says to you, look, just go and sit down in a nice quiet spot, just turn your phone off, turn your laptop off, don't worry about it, just relax. That's not a punishment.
No.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
And put a crate for a dog is the same thing. It's a nice, safe place for them to just go and empty that bucket. And, by closing off the visual and the sounds and them not being able to sort of move around and get excited, it just helps them, settle. And like you're saying with Darcy, she runs into the crate. My dogs run into the crate too. They love it.
She loves it.
Their crate. And it's a switch. They go in there and they settle down and they calm down. So they know that. So it's a great tool for owners to use to just help their dogs settle down.
Yeah. We've got a dog bed for her, and then we've also got the crate in the same room. And it's interesting to see, sometimes she'll go to the crate and sit quietly with a toy, and other times she'll be amongst it all with us, on her dog bed. It's fascinating to watch that. And so I guess it's the same with us. Sometimes we just want absolute quiet time and don't want to talk to anyone to recharge, and sometimes we still want to just be on the edge of it.
Sometimes you just want to sit on the sofa. You can still have people around. Sometimes you just want to be in the bedroom with the door closed.
So what's a dog's version of adaptogens? So we, as humans, adaptogens, herbs, to balance our stress hormones and to preferably come from a place of prevention. What's the doggy thing? Is it to go for a bit of a walk or something, or what works for them? From the prevention.
So for dogs, there are obviously supplements just the same as humans, and herbal supplements too. Like, it's becoming more and more of a done thing for dogs to be. Even aromatherapy is being used.
You're using aromatherapy with your dog.
And I'm having incredible results. So it's super interesting. But yes, you can, as long as if they're getting a good diet, they shouldn't need more supplements. But it's just like us, if we're eating well, we still might need that little boost just to take our health to the next level. So same thing with the dogs. But as far as like your deep breathing, like if we're stressed, we would take a deep breath. Well, dogs don't take deep breaths, but they do sniff. So sniffing
So
would be
sniffing.
like, yeah. So often you would do a scatter feed, which is basically just taking some of their food. So our treats are great for that.
And hide it. Yeah, I've got some of your
Yeah.
treats coming. I can't wait for them to arrive.
Yeah, they should be there soon. You know, throwing that in the grass and getting your dog to actually sniff it out is great. That's like them taking a deep breath, so it can be calming. It does depend on the breed too, because if you've got a sniffy dog like a terrier, sniffing might make them more aroused, so it might be super exciting. So you've got to look at the dog that's in front of you and you know, manage that how they go. So I've got working breed dogs, so Kelpies and mixes of things, Dachshunds and things. But yeah, so if things are excitable and neighbours are riding their motorbikes or something like that, that's a great time to do a scatter feed. Just take a deep breath
And
calm down and settle down. Another thing, of course, is chewing on bones. Raw bones is great for them. Puppies obviously need it for their teeth and all the rest of it. And licking is another calming activity. So yeah, any of that, that's kind of like, I suppose you could say that's their meditation. Like it's just their taking a deep breath and just calming themselves.
I love it. So do you think it works for them to do that kind of stuff in prevention, like with us?
Oh,
if we meditate and have quiet time, it helps us not fling off track as far. It does work the same with dogs?
Absolutely, yes. So I would encourage owners to be doing those sorts of things with your dogs every day.
Right.
So, you know, the licky mats.
The licky mats you put like peanut paste and stuff on.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of peanut butter, but I prefer to go with it like the raw food, just smeared on. Or kefir is really great because it gets some nice, good bugs into them and that sort of stuff.
Okay, cool.
Another one is which I just recently found out. I always knew Manuka honey is amazing.
Yeah.
But honey local to your area is really good for them. Yeah, and that's good for allergies too, because it's made from the plants that are in the local area. So yeah, I'll put a little bit, or even natural yogurt. Just put a little bit of
natural yogurt's all right.
Cool. Obviously, anything like people, if you give it to them and their tummy starts acting up, you go, oh, okay, this isn't going to work. But so even your leftover veggies, you know, obviously be mindful of the toxic things for dogs. But yeah, your normal run-of-the-mill veggies, they can be squished into a licky mat and just lick.
Good to know.
Yeah, bone broth, stuff like that, and you can freeze it.
Okay, so here's one. All right, so with that, with humans, because our gut's like a big crock pot, we don't want to be giving ice. Someone said to me, a friend said to me, you know, make ice cubes when weather gets hot and let her crunch on ice cubes and stuff like that for cold. And my brain went, no, cold's no good for humans because our guts, is cold okay in the tummy for dogs?
Well, I guess it's coming from a different angle. We're freeze food for enrichment. So to give you an example, I would freeze a Kong for my dogs, not so much to cool them down, but for them to have something to do for a longer period of time.
Okay.
So if I gave my dogs a Kong that wasn't frozen, then it'd be done in 3 minutes. It'd be finished. Okay. But if it's frozen, they've actually got to, you know, chew on it and slowly get it. I suppose like what you're saying with the cold in the tummy, it's not, I'm not a fan of ice cubes, and ice water is definitely a no-no for dogs.
Same as humans.
But when they're eating something that's frozen or licking it, it's more like an ice cream. You know, it's not like a big frozen wolf. It's just slowing them down a little bit. And I mean, definitely it wouldn't be the only way. You wouldn't feed your dog everything frozen, but it's just a little bit of, it's more for the enrichment. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Using your brain. Yeah.
With we sleep to recharge, mirroring an animal and their sleep kind of patterns. Like, is there anything like we say, you know, if you wake up between, and obviously, you know, animals sleep at different times, and like dogs go fast, slow, you know, they work and then they sleep,
Yeah.
work, sleep. But with us, our different sleep patterns mean different things to me as a naturopath. Is there any mirroring there with sleep and dogs?
I don't really think so. Most dogs should be sleeping through the night. From puppy, really, they should be sleeping through the night.
Yep.
Like us, they shouldn't be getting up to do a wee. Like they've got the capacity to hold on to that. So they shouldn't be doing those sorts of things unless it's age, they're too young, or
Yep.
age, they're too old.
Too old, yeah.
Like an average aged, healthy dog should not be getting up through the night.
Yep.
And dogs need a lot more sleep than we do. They and if you think of animals in the wild, they're not running around.
No, they hunt and sleep.
They hunt or they sleep, you know.
Yeah.
So we have this idea as pet owners, so we've got to keep our dogs busy, go, do things, go everywhere, where they actually need to be able to be calm. And yes, it's great to have fun and do fun things, but that comes back down to the bucket. It fills your bucket up. Even if it's fun, it needs to lower down.
Downtime.
And when we push our dogs and we don't recognize that their buckets are filling, that's when you start getting reactivity and things like that. So it's something to be really mindful of. And it doesn't just happen. Well, sometimes it does just happen, depending on the trigger. You know, some dogs can go from 0 to 100 in a split second if it's something really, you know, traumatic,
triggered,
whatever. Yeah. But, you know, a lot of people have reactive dogs on walks and they go, well, we walked past another dog and the dog went off its head. But what happened before that walk? And it's like what you say about going that step behind.
Yeah.
Same thing. You're going a step behind. What happened before? You put your shoes on. Your dog went, oh, we're going for a walk. We're going for a walk.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's a big cup in the bucket.
Right.
Then you went and grabbed the harness. Whoa, 3 cups. We're definitely going for a walk. Then you put the harness on and headed to the door. Whoop, more cups. Yeah. So before you even
they're already amped up.
They're already 3/4 full. And then another dog comes past and that's enough to send the bucket overflowing.
So is it worth, like, you set them up to go for a walk, but then they just have a bit of 5 minutes quiet before they go, or not? Or just get out there and walk?
Well, it's the best thing to do is to get them to not respond to you putting your joggers on. So that's what you'd start off with.
Okay, so with Darcy, I'm going, see my black sandals? That means we're going for a walk.
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
Filling a bucket, So you've got to really break it down. And so no response is the best response. Put your joggers on, take them off. Put your joggers on, take them off. Pick up the lead, put it down. Pick up the lead, put it down.
Right. Okay, I didn't do that wrong.
Yeah. So that by the time you're walking out the door, she's like, are we going for a walk? Aren't we? I don't know. Oh, the lead's up. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, we've put the harness on. Yeah, that's all right. Take the harness off. And if we can exit the door in a more calmer state, empty a bucket.
Same enough. If we can do the preparation to, you know, even to go to sleep at night, you know, they do I can't sleep at night, yet they're doing 20 stupid, frantic things before they go to sleep. And it's like, well, of course you can't switch off properly easily. Yeah. All right. So one last question. So what I know is that kids mirror adults. And patterns repeat. And so if my mum, for instance, was kind of that really outwardly, emotionally charged kind of person, that we learn our behaviors from our childhood through, you know, and we generally carry that into being an adult until we realize we're an adult and we can create different behaviors. Animals mirroring the parents, the owners.
So this is twofold because it does come down to genetics as well.
Really?
And they're taking it back. I was listening to a podcast the other day, actually, where they're saying that it's up to the grandmother. Because if your puppy now is alive on Earth, before it was alive on Earth, it was in its mum's tummy.
Absolutely.
And it's been influenced by the environment of that mum.
Yes.
Before it was in its mum's tummy, the mum was in the grandmother and the egg was in the mother. So your puppy is 3 generations back, and now they're doing research to see if that environment influences the puppies.
Wow.
And there's more and more stuff coming out that it does. So if you've got, so I've got Kip over here, there he is. He's a very nervous rescue dog that we got. He's extremely anxious, nervous around people. We don't know anything about him.
He's a rescue.
Yeah, we've got no idea. We just know he was
Yep.
picked up as a stray, absolutely terrified. And we're working through issues with him, deep emotional trauma issues, just like people.
Yeah.
It's PTSD for dogs, really.
Yeah.
It's things that trigger him that he absolutely
Yeah.
melts down. And
Yeah.
look at him, he's fine.
Yeah.
He looks like a normal dog. But yeah, so there is new research saying that those environmental things will be passed down. So there's that aspect of it. But when we come to the human-dog relationship, there is 100% a link. If you are feeling anxious and scared, your dog will pick up on that and they will react. So if you're walking a dog and they're reactive and you're like pulling on the lead and putting tension on, it's going to make them react even more. Whereas if you can just ground yourself and be calm and walk, that dog has a better chance of just carrying on. You know, and also, if you go to if I go to a client's home and it's crazy, like there's kids running around and the dog's just sort of in between it. The dog is overexcited all the time, not getting enough rest. It impacts the dog. And that's one of the conversations that I have with my clients is you've got to be mindful of your own energy because your dogs can feel it and they will feed off it. So if you...
Same conversation I have with people about their kids. Same thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. You literally just take a deep breath and ground yourself. And suddenly you can see the dogs, they just go,
Finding different. Yeah.
And you can notice it with people, I'll go in and people say, oh, he's never responded to someone like that before. And it's just the energy, because, I practice it every day. So it's that grounding energy. So they definitely feel it and it's definitely part of, it affects their behavior. So, big thing.
It is a big thing. All right. So if there was one piece of advice you would give any new puppy owner or just someone who's got critters, what would it be?
Yeah. It'd be to let them rest. Give them enough rest.
God, it's the same as humans. Rest trumps everything.
Yeah, rest. And using those techniques, the licking, the chewing and sniffing, using those day to day to keep their bucket as empty as possible.
Wow.
And of course building a relationship with your dog, that is super important as well. But there's it doesn't need to be go all the time. Let them rest. And there's a lot of things actually, gut health, looking after them, all that sort of stuff.
A diet close to nature, blah blah.
All of that. It's all the same. Yeah. And just actually on that, the close to nature thing.
Yep.
We go to the shop and buy a bag of kibble. It's highly processed food. If you went to a GP and they said to you, you know what, do not eat fresh food, don't do it. Just eat processed food. You're going to go, what? It doesn't make any sense. And that's the same thing with what's happening with dogs. They put the beautiful marketing, some of the bags are amazing and it looks amazing, but it's heavily processed. And people need to think about that because if the dog's gut is not feeling right, just like us, we're not feeling well.
Our brain's not fed right if our gut's not right. Animals have to be the same.
If you're physically not well, you cannot walk peacefully down the road.
No.
And that bucket is 3/4 full all the time because you're not well.
So close to nature and lots of rest. I love it.
Yes. And obviously have fun and do stuff and take them on adventures, but be mindful.
That's the whole thing with us humans. It's good food. good rest and good play. So they need their chewy.
Yep, they need their play too.
Same as we need our playthings. It's exactly the same.
Yep, it is exactly the same. Yeah.
Super interesting. Thanks, Deb.
That's okay.
So if anyone's listening to this and wants to track you down and follow you, because really seriously, this chick does bloody excellent reels, whether you've got dogs or any kind of critter, you want to track down her reels. So your Busy Paws that's
Busy Paws.
And it's PAWZ.
Yes. Busy Paws, paws with a Z.com.au. Yeah.
And your socials, your Instagram and Facebook are Busy Paws.
Busy Paws as well, yeah. So
I could track it down, guys, because she puts out such good content. It's definitely helping me being a new puppy mum.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
All right, thank you so much. It's been really interesting. I agree. There's an absolute correlation between animals and humans in way more ways than I thought. So thank you. It's great.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Very cool. See you guys.